I now invite Debbie Goolsby to come forward to light the chalice and lead us in our affirmation of covenant, which is printed in your order of service.
Catch the microphone on fire. I wanted to make sure this was the last time they asked me. I light this chalice with these words. Open our eyes to see what is beautiful, open our minds to learn what is true, and open our hearts to love one another. And if you would please join me in our affirmation of covenant, which is printed in your order of service, saying,
Love is the doctrine of this church. The quest for truth is its sacrament, and service is its prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge and freedom, to serve humankind in fellowship, to the end that all souls shall grow into harmony with the divine. Thus do we covenant with each other.
One of the stops on my pilgrimage trip to Poland last fall was in the little town of Cieskowi, where one of the many surviving 16th century Unitarian church buildings has been preserved. Inside, 3 painted inscriptions still adorn the weathered walls. They all state one theme: what we do here, the community we build here, and the faith that we practice here, we do not for ourselves alone. 2 of the inscriptions are from the Gospels, but one is from the Roman poet Virgil. It says that the birds make nests not only for themselves, implying the obvious, that they make them for their children. This is painted over the doorway between the sanctuary and the classroom. As is typical of these church buildings, the ground floor has just those 2 rooms. The gospel quotations are elsewhere in the sanctuary. One is from the parable of the vineyard, saying, "He who builds on the field builds not for himself, but for the Lord of the field," which would have been understood back then to mean for the community, because in the political structures of that time, I'm talking about the late 16th and early 17th centuries when the Polish Brethren were active. At that time, lords, at least in theory, were responsible for ensuring the welfare of the community. The other quote, is the one on your order of worship or order of service cover. Do not lay up for yourselves treasures on earth. It doesn't say don't lay up treasures on earth. It says don't lay them up for yourselves. Lay them up for your children, for your neighbors, for emergencies, for the greater good, but not simply to have them. Reflecting on these inscriptions called to my mind a lecture that Joseph Campbell gave about the chakras. You may have heard of Joseph Campbell, the scholar of mythology, right? And you've probably heard about the Indian idea that the human body has 7 symbolic centers of energy, the chakras, that you can focus on while seated in meditation. They run from the root chakra, which is located where your body is in contact with the ground when seated, up to the crown chakra on the top of your head, nearest heaven, as the root chakra is nearest the earth. The heart chakra, located where it says it is, that's the point of balance between the chakras below it and those above. The chakras below it are about our physical functioning on earth, and the ones above about our spiritual functioning, how we name and convey our experience, the throat chakra, and how we see the bigger picture, the third eye, beyond ourselves. Now, if you want to understand what sort of physical functioning is at the root chakra, Campbell said, think of dragons. We know about dragons, he said, how they dwell in caves and guard vast treasures there. They do not make use of that treasure in any way, they just guard it, hold on to it. The emotions of dragons are two: fear and anger. Fear that they'll lose a bit of that treasure. Anger at anybody who dares try to take it. Now, this thought, in turn, is reminiscent of Dr. Paul MacLean's theory of how the human brain evolved. You've probably heard this one before, too. He spoke of three structures in the brain, one inside the other. Beneath our reasoning, imagining, big picture neocortex, that's Latin for new layer, he called it the neo-mammalian layer, the new mammal layer. Beneath that lies a bonding, communal, caring middle layer, which he called the paleo-mammalian, the old mammal layer. And beneath that is a fight-or-flight layer that he called the reptilian, reptiles, dragons. That layer deals with basic personal survival, holding on, staying alive. The chakra system is a meditative tool for diagnosing where your energy is focused and for working on a balance. Not for yourself alone, like a dragon, but also moving up the chakras for intimate connection, for action, for feeling whole, for naming and knowing, seeing the big picture, connecting with sources of wisdom and inspiration. Meditation on the chakras is for developing balance and wholeness. That's what any good spiritual practice is for, and it's what any good faith community is for. As we declare in our church's vision and mission statement, we are here to build the beloved community. We strive to build a beloved community through shared worship, responsible spiritual freedom, exploration, and reverence. We are a welcoming congregation, embracing our interconnectedness, engaging with others by living our principles in our community and working to transform our world and ourselves. So, not for ourselves alone. This theme emerged again in our visioning process completed this month. We recognized our commitment to one another and to our neighbors and the wider community, not for ourselves alone. And when we share stories, as we did this morning, about how we show up at a father-daughter dance or a campaign event or a petition drive, we know for sure that it's not for ourselves alone. 3 painted inscriptions show us that this has been a value of Unitarianism from our very beginnings during the Reformation. What we do here, the community we build here, and the faith we practice here, we do not for ourselves alone. Neither do we do it as any sort of remembrance, however moving those inscriptions might be, when we appreciate what they meant to our forebears. We do it for a better future, and for a more just society and world, not only for ourselves. Amen?
Now I invite Debbie to come back and extinguish our chalice. Please join in saying the closing words, which are in your order of service. Go
out into the world in peace, have courage, hold on to what is good, return to no person evil for evil, strengthen the faint-hearted, support the weak, help the suffering, honor all beings. And in doing so, may your heart keep your balance.